done up in their wildest and fanciest avatars, hoping that David, the Black Sun's owner and hacker-in-chief, will invite them inside. They flicker and merge together into an hysterical wall. Stunningly beautiful women, computer airbrushed and retouched at 72 frames a second. A liberal sprinkling of black and white people, persons who are accessing the metaverse through cheap public terminals and who are rendered in jerky, grainy black and white. There are would-be rock stars done up in laser light as though they just stepped off the concert stage, and the avatars of Nipponese businessmen, exquisitely rendered by their fancy equipment, but utterly reserved and boring in their suits. There's one black and white who stands out because he's taller than the rest. The street protocol states that your avatar can't be any taller than you are. This is to prevent people from walking around a mile high. Besides, if this guy's using a pay terminal, which he must be to judge from the image quality, it can't jazz up his avatar. It just shows him the way he is, except not as well. He has long hair parted in the middle like a curtain to reveal a tattoo on his forehead. There's no way to see the tattoo clearly, but it appears to consist of words. He has a wispy Fu Manchu mustache. Hiro realizes that the guy has noticed him and is staring back, looking him up and down, paying particular attention to the swords. A grin spreads across the black and white guy's face. It is a satisfied grin, a grin of recognition, the grin of a man who knows something Hiro doesn't. He steps as close as he can and leans forward. He's so tall that the only thing behind him is empty black sky, torn with the glowing vapor trails of passing animercials. "Hey Hiro," the black and white guy says. "You want to try some Snow Crash?"
You are watching Disrupt TV.
There's a new virus in the database.
What's happening?
The book was originally published in 1992, and now that the technology that it describes is a reality, it got me thinking, what types of hacks may we see in VR? Like before it was computer hacks, those would take control of your computer's files, or even keylogs that track computer accounts. But now that the hardware we're using is symbiotically in tune with our sight, vision, and sense of self, what may happen? Inside of headsets, there's a chaperone, right? Basically a holographic border that marks out where the play area ends and where it begins. In theory, a bad actor could create a communicational link between the virus and the device that says expand chaperone by 1 foot every 5 minutes. Before you know it, you're killing a zombie in-game, but also simultaneously about to smash your shin against the coffee table. This could also be exploited to move the player if they are in a larger environment. So if the rule says every 5 minutes, don't expand the chaperone, but move it by 5 feet, the player that's also moving in-game wouldn't be the wiser, resulting in their play space moving from location to location until they fall off the edge of a building. This isn't much of an issue nowadays, as most people use their headset inside, but in the future, if headsets become more compatible with the outside world, this hack could control the user in the physical world without them even knowing it.
Now entering Metaverse Sector B97.
A lot of the content we're jumping in and out of is user-generated, and there's so much content being generated on a daily basis that it's impossible for any one person or company to moderate it. So likely we'll see the route of the internet, where only illegal stuff is really taken down, as it should be, I think. But this can also introduce exploits, right, that don't necessarily take control of the HMD, but rather abuse what is already there. We've all seen those jump scare videos, right? Now let's expand this. The HMD is emulating sight and sound, so a bad actor could, in theory, create a world, experience, or a script that looks like a normal thing. But when the user interacts with it, their sight is overtaken by disturbing or flashing images. Their sound is corrupted by extremely loud noises. Whereas before this could be brushed off as an annoying prank, the technology is becoming more symbiotic with our senses. Like perhaps we'll have earbuds that work directly within our eardrums for pristine quality. These could also then damage our senses by being overloaded. Perhaps a way to combat this will be hardware safety measures that cut off once it reaches a certain decibel. You're waiting for the train at the station. You have augmented reality glasses on and you're simply browsing social. Then a street performer begins playing on the platform, a really talented street performer. Meanwhile, as you have your attention on this person, someone else pickpockets you while your gaze is turned. When the deed is done and the thief is far away, the street performer disappears, and you're none the wiser. As devices get smaller, they may not render graphics directly on the device itself, but rather stream it through 7G, right? So HackerMan could deploy a futuristic equivalent of Stingray. Stingray is the generic commercial term for a device otherwise known as an IMSI catcher. The Stingray impersonates a legitimate cell tower to trick nearby mobile phones and other wireless communication devices into connecting to them, intercepting the graphics into displaying whatever the hacker wants us to see. In this case, a talented street performer can literally bend reality around us. It's like a facade that manipulates reality, making it possible for actual reality to be
Disrupted.
behind that facade.